What is up, people? You are listening to New Generation Hero Talk. I am your host, EJ Stewart. We got a big show lined up today, man. A massive week when it came to Marvel, and not sure if it's in a good way. We'll talk about some major leaks that happened with both Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day. We've also gotten some interesting plot detail updates on both of those movies. In part, some of it because of the leaks, but in part just things that have been kind of dropping, some details that we're dropping all over the internet. So we'll talk plenty about what's happening with those two movies. We also got a pretty big potential casting happening in the Batman 2. A female lead that has actually been very familiar in the Marvel Universe is apparently joining the Batman 2. We'll talk about what that will mean as well. Plus, we have a Supergirl trailer. This one not leaked. A actual trailer that was released to the public. So we got our first official look at Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El. We also get a quick shot of Lobo. So fun stuff there. So a lot to get to on this episode. Starting, let's begin with my co-host, starting with Shamari Stewart. Shamari, I see you in the house with Kendall. What's happening?
Yeah, man. Always, good to be, hanging out with Kendall. Glad to be on the show as always. And of course, happy holidays to everybody out there. The holidays are, coming up. Whatever you celebrate or, don't celebrate. If you don't celebrate, just hope you enjoying the holiday season. But yeah, EJ, like you said, we got a lot of good stuff coming up. We got an official Supergirl trailer. So that's pretty exciting. So we can kind of give our actual thoughts on footage that we've seen. That was officially released and, intended for everyone to see. So that'll be a fun discussion. We got some more news later on regarding the Batman 2 that's going to be pretty exciting to discuss as well.
Yeah, man, it should be a good show. A lot of stuff to talk about. Kendall joined me as well. Kendall, any stories that got your eye for our rundown today?
I'm definitely not going to let up on Marvel. I think generally speaking, I feel like I've been the most positive towards Marvel and Kevin Feige. Compared to you guys are giving them a lot of heat, especially Shamari. But I gotta light up on Marvel Studios and the Disney oligarchy because the decisions they've made this week. I don't think are going to help them. I can't say it's going to cost them because they make plenty of money themselves, but I don't think it's going to help them. Certainly from a brand equity fan standpoint. So we'll get into all that, but yeah, just excited. Very packed show today.
Yeah, man. Let's get after it. So let's talk about what happened with first the Avengers, because like we said, this was a big week, and what a week it was for Marvel. So not one, but two trailers for Marvel leaked this week. Let's begin with Avengers Doomsday, which Marvel is planning to unveil apparently 4 teasers in theaters exclusively. So Avengers Doomsday, the plan reportedly all out the internet is that Marvel is going to unveil 4 teasers exclusively in theaters for the release of Avatar Fire and Ice, which comes out this upcoming week. That plan has already been hotly debated. I'm sure we'll get into plenty of that debate. Someone got the drop of them already, because last week we had a lo-fi version of what is believed to be the first of these 4 teasers appear on the internet, and big surprise, it features Chris Evans, Steve Rogers character exclusively. It is a solo teaser, really propping up Steve Rogers as a short clip. And again, I'll go spoiler alert, I guess, if you don't want to hear about the teaser, the leak. I did watch the leak. And I think a lot of people have, it's been out there now that Steve Rogers is going to be in this movie, and it's a short teaser, but not too much happens. But you do see Rogers seemingly living a happy life in the post Endgame world. If you remember Endgame, he takes the Infinity Stones, says he's going to put them back where they are. And the last shot we see of him is in a small little home, dancing with Peggy, getting that final dance that he never got many years ago. And they seem to be living a happy married life. And that is essentially, it seems like, where this picks up. We see Steve Rogers on the motorcycle. We see him give a little look at the costume. Well, otherwise, he's living a simple life. He's holding a baby, so he's now a brand new dad, it seems like, in this trailer. So Steve Rogers is in the movie. Reporting has subsequently come out that he is really the main character, that this movie's that's going to be centered around Steve Rogers, which is not information we knew before this past week. Apparently, there will be 2 more teasers that will be dropping. They both will be solo spotlights. One is expected to be on Chris Hemsworth's Thor character. The other expected to be Robert Downey's Doctor Doom, followed by what I believe is expected to be a more traditional teaser that I guess will show multiple characters. But this first teaser that was again a solo solo kind of spotlight was on Chris Evans, Steve Rogers character. So a lot to get to on this. We'll get into the rollout situation in a little bit. I want to first do plot stuff. Steve Rogers back in a major way. Kendall, like it, dislike it?
Oh, I mean, look, from that perspective, I think that's awesome. This is one of the areas, and again, I'll hit on all this in a little bit, but this is one of the areas where I definitely think leak culture has gravely hurt the industry, because that clip and that trailer should have been, an internet breaking type of thing, was met with a lot of, that's it? Really? That's it? And it's because for the last 5-6 months, all we've heard is Steve Rogers is going to be in Doomsday. It's not new. Marvel hasn't never said that. Marvel's been, for everything that he wasn't on the chairs. On the chairs, it was all these the Thunderbolts and Sam Wilson's Avengers and a bunch of old X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So it wasn't. So from what they gave us, if only you follow like the official stuff, you don't follow the behind the scenes. If you're just like the wrestling fan that doesn't actually read about the inner workings of the creative and everything, and you just follow the on-screen story, you're just like, wow, this is crazy. Steve Rogers is back. Because of the leak culture that we have nowadays, most of the people that would care, most of the people that would watch a leak before it comes out, or people that are going to go to pay to see Avatar just to see the trailer, those people already know that Steve Rogers is in it. And so it was a little underwhelming from that perspective. But again, him being in it, I think that's great. And we've talked about that to some degree for a while now. I mean, he's obviously one of their big moneymaker characters. If you're Marvel and if you're Disney, like, I don't know how much they had to pay him. I'd imagine a lot. But if you're Marvel, if you're Disney, it's 100% worth it for you to make this movie feel big and feel grandiose. We've been talking for years now about this movie, and we've been clowning them about having to be Avengers, right? Having the 7 seed play-in team, NBA play-in team Avengers. But you have Captain America back, and this is the tax. And look, I was critical of Marvel, critical of Disney for paying the amount of money that they did to bring back Downey and to bring back the Russos, because I just thought, and look, it's not my money, but at a certain point you understand, like, this, at some point it is going to catch up to, like, there is going to be there is something you're paying, even as a fan, if they've got to pay all this money.
Yeah.
Even if there's no salary caps, that's going to be taken from something else. When they had to pay the Russos and Downey all this money, I was like, I don't know, that seemed a little excessive. But this is the tax that you're paying. This is why you do it, right? Because Chris Evans isn't coming back for a Greg Berlanti Doomsday movie, right? Robert Downey's not coming back for, I don't know, like Joss Whedon, Doomsday movie. Like, these guys are coming back to work with the Russos, and again, from a story perspective, I think it's awesome. And I'm somebody that loves Sam Wilson's Captain America, and I know that there is a conversation out there about, now we're burying Sam Wilson. I love Sam Wilson. I love Anthony Mackie's portrayal. I think he's probably one of my 5 or 6 favorite characters in the MCU. But I don't think that they can't coexist. I think a lot of Anthony Mackie's best moments. I love Falcon Winter Soldier, and I really like Brave New World. But a lot of Anthony Mackie's best movies also come with Chris Evans in. So I don't think that personally that doesn't take it away from me, but I think that from a story standpoint, I think this is a great start.
That's interesting because I feel like, well, one, I think you're right about the leak culture thing because the way I see it, Jam, I agree. I think with the reaction I saw online was like mostly negative. I felt it was like, oh, really? We're doing this again? But I take you back to when they revealed that Robert Downey Jr. was Doctor Doom. Think about that audience reaction in the theater compared to the internet reaction to what you saw from Steve Rogers in the crowd,
And
and
the
it really,
Comic Con reaction,
right, the Comic Con reaction. It was night and day. I mean, there was the crowd sounded like the Knicks won an NBA championship when Robert Downey Jr. took off that hood and revealed that he was going to be Doctor Doom. And with this, that thing wasn't leaked. We had no idea that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Doctor Doom. This is something that gets leaked on the internet in a way that they don't want, and a way that they're not anticipating people reacting to it. And that's where you get the negative pushback. I think they would have been much better suited to just bring him out at some event. I would have just, I don't know, like, they didn't have the deal done by San Diego Comic Con, I guess, of last year. They should have done something this year. They should have done something that just create a Disney, D23, investor day. Just create something. Just do something. Make up something. Just make up something where he shows up so that the people can legitimately be surprised and shocked that you can control. You can't control leaks. I think we're at the point now, as we can see, Marvel has clearly shown that they can't control this stuff getting leaked early. So if that's gonna happen, you got to find different ways to do these kind of reveals. I think there's a chance that maybe this would have been, like Kendall said, an internet breaking moment because of just the fact that it's massive news. I think it's very dangerous though to play that game to think that we can keep this completely under wraps and nobody's gonna see anything when you gotta go through all the hoops it takes to actually create movie trailers, especially ones that now you're only putting into the ether via the movie theaters, because now there are going to be folks out there that are not going to have the motivation to be like, no, we're not going to be gatekeeped and be forced to sit through Avatar in order to watch an Avengers movie. So what are you going to do? Of course, the leaker's going to get after it. So I think that Marvel made a mistake in that regard. Shmari, how do you feel about that? And also on the plot device of involving Steve Rogers in such a major way?
Yeah, I think the strategy, which I don't really know that we really totally got to discuss, I guess, in full this strategy, but I feel like this strategy of releasing these trailers like this, kind of like Kendall alluded to with the leak culture, it's kind of hard to, it's hard to really justify. Something like this would have been great back when, if you feel like back when like the MCU was kind of first starting out and had the whole trailer, or the whole like Thanos, I'll do it myself and all that other stuff.
Yeah, the Avengers trailer.
Yeah, Avengers trailer, like that stuff wasn't like leaking all over the internet at the time because it was because
the internet wasn't what it is now. It just wasn't.
Yeah, the internet wasn't what it is now. Social media wasn't what it is now. So
you had to go to a movie and stay till the end if you want to see a post.
Yeah, you went to the movie, you stayed to the end. You didn't already know, there wasn't all this talk already of what we're going to see. But now these are like $1 billion or multi-billion dollar properties at this point.
They created this monster to some degree. They didn't create the internet, but they created this culture of people wanting to know what's happening next every single time.
Yeah, and having so much content. And then also like all the teasing and all that stuff of like various different
Easter eggs. All this is Marvel's creation in many ways.
Yeah. So and then also I feel like what's his name, Iger's himself has made comments of, we have to go back to the way the original kind of formula and how things were and whatever. He said that stuff publicly. So saying stuff like that, people are going to expect, so I guess, and we know Robert Downey's coming back, so I guess Steve Rogers is going to come back. So it's just not a surprise to a lot of people. Story wise, I think this is, I think it's good. I mean, Chris Evans, Steve Rogers is a fantastic character. I think having him in this movie is only going to elevate the movie. And I'm also a big fan of Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson. I've watched the Captain America movie several times. The last one, and it's a good movie, even though it could have been better. But I still very much enjoyed it. Having him in the movie is just going to elevate the movie. The moments that you would hope to see, even with Anthony Mackie and various other characters, are things that I'm sure a lot of fans can't wait to see. So it's just a good decision, just period. So I think that's going to help get people into the theaters so we can see this movie. And I'm excited to see what these other teasers have to show. I think they miscalculated in that people are not going to spend upwards of $100 to go back and forth into the theaters to see all these teasers, because people just are not going to do that.
Yeah, I've got a theory on that, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah, but yeah, no, this is just good for Avengers. It's good for Avengers, good for the MCU in terms of what they're doing. They have a lot of goodwill to earn back. So this is like, for me, like baby steps of them earning that goodwill back. And yeah, we got to see how the movie is when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think I'm more mixed on it than you guys are. I think I've seen some good, commentary on this, being like, listen, because there are a lot of folks that are like, how are we going back to this Downey Evans well again? I thought we were done with this. And that's kind of how I felt when I initially saw this trailer and saw the details leaking that Steve Rogers is essentially a Steve Rogers story, which is just not what I expected. I expected, I'm not saying that it's not going to be a Doom-centered story, but it doesn't feel like that's what's being talked about. It seems like it's being even more so Steve Rogers, and then, of course, Doom is just the villain. Chris Evans is an amazing actor. Steve Rogers' character is a great character. He plays well off of so many other heroes. I think one of the underrated aspects of Steve Rogers and what makes him so fun is just him, and him being the man out of time thing, playing up against just all these different people. And I think seeing him now potentially with, he's essentially now going to be with a whole new cast. He's going to get to play with the X-Men. He's going to get to play with the new Avengers. There's all these different characters that we haven't seen him actually interact with because he's been gone for the last 7-8 years. There's a lot of potential there. So, and the Russos know this character extremely well. So I get that point. But again, I also get the point that the audience has spoken that they just don't rock with the as Kendall Plate calls it, the play-in team Avengers and the play-in team Marvel heroes that have been established since Endgame. They don't rock with obviously, the new Black Panther the way they rock with T'Challa. They don't rock with Sam Wilson the way they rock with Chris, Steve with Chris Evans. They don't rock with all these people. So if the audience is spoken, you got to maybe pivot. So I get all that. I just feel like Doom, you could have made this more about Doom and less about having to put him up against someone of equal ilk. I feel like if the movie's going to go the way I think we kind of expected to go, I think you could have made this similarly to how they made the first Infinity War, where it's essentially a Thanos-driven story. Have it be a Doom-driven story, and then have him, fighting all these other people. It's not like they don't have big actors involved. Like, I know there are those issues I had with those that people have with those characters, but you still have the X-Men, you still have Patrick Stewart, you still have Magneto. Like, you still have people that I think will definitely be able to stand up and share a screen with Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if they had to go this route. So I'm a little mixed on it. I'm curious. I'm fascinated by how this story is going to shake out. But it feels like for Marvel is supposed to be building towards a new universe, a new world. And with every report that comes out, it feels like Iger has been teasing it, so it's not like it's a shocker, but it feels like in many ways sometimes we're going backwards. We cast Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is not part of the Marvel universe. It has to be played by the guy that played Iron Man. We're doing this movie that's setting up the post Secret Wars Marvel, we got to have Chris Evans majorly involved in the first movie. We can talk about it. I mean, the fact that there's rumors that a solo Wolverine movie is being put together, and we've had those reports that Hugh Jackman is going to be playing Wolverine beyond Secret Wars. I'm like, where is the new? Like when we thought about mutants coming into the world and them establishing a new world for Marvel, there was excitement about who these new people were going to be and these new takes on these characters, and it feels like in many ways we're going backwards. I'll admit what they did back then worked. Like going backwards may work because it's creatively it was much better. But am I going to be super excited about it? Not really until I watch it. I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to see the proof of the concept and see it work out before I say, okay, you know what, this was absolutely the right decision.
So what's interesting is I feel like, and there have been some stuff even like before these teasers, people, some of these scoopers are speculating that the movie Doomsday is going to start where Endgame left off. And I remember when I heard that, I had to go back. I was like, where did Endgame leave off? And it was Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter dancing in the house. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then again, we see the trailer, and you're like, maybe these people knew about the trailer early on. Right. You never know this stuff, but
yeah,
maybe they're speculating off of that. But regardless, I was like, okay, so they're just picking up where that really left off. I mean, who knows? Maybe Doom shows up at his house or something. I don't know how it starts, but
maybe, yeah.
But I'm really getting the sense that, we talk about like all the fans that were kind of down on where the MCU's been and like don't really mess with some of these characters. I'm getting the sense the Russos are those people as well. Like, I don't know if the Russos really want to play with some of these characters that they are going to be forced to play with. And they're going to be in the movie. They're not like obviously going to totally shun them, but clearly they didn't seem like, it doesn't seem like they had any interest in building a story around the phase, 4 and 5 Marvel characters.
Mm-hmm.
They seem invested in the characters they last used when they were around making movies. Like, I mean, again, even like I don't like the idea of a Thor version of the Captain America trailer. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't really think that's going to excite anybody. And I like Chris Hemsworth's Thor. But like I could see how the Russos would be like, yeah, we're more comfortable highlighting Thor than we are, Shang-Chi or, Sue Storm or somebody that they haven't really worked with. So I don't know. I mean, that, I think I think from a business standpoint, it's a good idea. It's just, is it going to limit them? Like you said, is it just playing, or are they just going to be playing the hits the whole time? That'll be the question. But to me, my theory on these rollouts in general is and I think the Thor one kind of highlights is I don't really think that these trailers are for us. Like, I don't think these trailers are for the hardcore people, because Marvel and Disney, corporate, they're not stupid in terms of they can make wrong decisions, but they're not stupid in the sense of they have all the information we have, if not more, certainly more. Mm-hmm. And they understand, like, yeah, this is probably going to leak, right? I'd assume that they understand, like, man, if we put this out, this might leak before the Avatar comes out. It might leak on Monday. Clearly, they were comfortable with that. And again, I think it's because I feel like they put this movie in the trailer in part, or put this trailer in the movie rather, yeah, to highlight Doomsday for Avatar people. As much as it was about getting getting Doomsday people to go see Avatar.
Interesting.
Getting Marvel people to go see Avatar. Like, of course, they're milking this thing, and yeah, they want people to go 4 times. I think they know people aren't going to go see this movie 4 times. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure they think that some of the crazy hardcore people will, but like, I think they know like your general Marvel fan probably won't. I think they do want a 2nd, 3rd weekend, 4th weekend boost, and that'll certainly help them, especially for that full trailer. But honestly, I think it is about like, because like we said, I think the hardcore Marvel people saw the Chris Evans thing and were like, that's it, I mean, we kind of knew this. He's in the same spot he was last time we saw him. This isn't really news. But like, yeah, if you're just somebody who didn't know there was a Doomsday trailer going to Avatar, you're right, probably like, oh, it's that.
Steve Rogers
Chris
is
Evans
back.
is back.
Yeah,
You know, I know this guy. Like,
yeah.
so honestly, I think that's what it was for. And again, I think that's bad strategy. I'd be
Yeah,
very
because
honest.
you said you had a lot of a bone to pick with Marvel with
Yeah,
this. So yeah,
let me be clear. I think that's really bad strategy. I think you could have accomplished the same exact thing while still releasing it online. Maybe, honestly, again, I would have cooked up both. I would have cooked up something better personally. Because again, we could talk about it's. I think it's fine to bring back Steve Rogers. I think this manner of revealing it, I don't think it was smart. Um, and when you do the leak thing, all of a sudden now you're like you're just opening yourself up for criticism in a way that you wouldn't have if you just dropped it online. Now again, dropping that online still would have been criticized. Let's be honest. People would have been waiting for that for months, and then they dropped that. People would have been like, "That's it." But for most people, they saw it, they're experiencing it in shoddy quality. You're just not doing yourself any favors when you do it that way. Whereas you could have directed people towards Good Morning America,
yeah,
Monday Night Football, college football playoff games. There's a million different ways they could cross promote Disney properties while releasing an Avengers trailer that people can watch all at the same time. So I just think
yeah.
this is not smart in 2025 to think that, you know, I don't think if their thing is, oh, well, the leaks they generate buzz in and of themselves. I disagree. I mean, I guess they do, but I don't think that can't be accomplished by releasing them public. I think you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. In some ways, I think you laid out the case at the beginning of why maybe this made sense, or at least you laid out their thought process behind it. But I think a lot of what you're saying also in terms of why you disagree also makes sense. You definitely could have cross promoted it on something else like GMA or whatever. But I think their thought process is we want to. There are people who watch GMA who would never go to a movie theater. So in order to make the money that they need, they wanted, I think, the most guaranteed person to go see movies in movie theaters are people who are actually in movie theaters. So I think their thought process was put the trailer in a movie theater because those people already showed up to see Avatar, and I think they've probably seen the projections that we all expect, which is that Avatar is not nearly as popular or nearly as has a near wide appeal that they expect for a team or a franchise they're trying to make 6 movies for. So I think they're like, yo, like, all right, if people are going to see Avatar, those are movie going people. These are not just like you're like, oh, I want to go see Avatar. I'm a super fan. Like there are some people like that, but there are a lot of people who are like, oh, I go to movies every week, and like Avatar is a big franchise, so I'm going to see it. Like that's the reality for a lot of Avatar fans. So or the people who go to see an Avatar movie. So I think their thought process is let's get those folks and remind them of when you liked Avatar, when you saw the first one, and now maybe you're just playing the string out where you got to see all the movies. Remember that? Well, during that time, Steve Rogers was also doing this. He was also you know in the movie theaters playing Captain America. People were excited about it, and I think that's what they're trying to do now. I think this is one of the stupidest strategies, stupidest rollouts I think I've ever seen. It's the that rationale I get, I understand, but to me, Marvel is at I think it's fair to say an all time low when it comes to I guess like just general approval rating. Like, how do you feel about the Marvel Studios brand? I'd imagine it's never been lower than it is today. The only way to get themselves out of that funk and get themselves out of that situation is for the people like us, as the late, as the late John, what's his name would say, the sweaties. Yeah, John Schnepp, R.I.P. John Schnepp, the sweaties. The only way to get out of that is for the sweaties to go insane about the stuff you're dropping and talk in the word of mouth to say, hey, Marvel's back, things are changing, this is going to be incredible. That's the only way this is going to work. The Superman promotional stuff worked because Superman fans got behind the James Gunn Superman and they pushed to how good it was and how much they enjoyed it. Look, I've talked to a lot of people who have watched Superman and who have not as. There's some people who really liked it, some people thought it was good, and then some people didn't like it. But that narrative never took off about this movie being mid because the sweaties got behind it immediately and said this was incredible. And it was good enough when the general people saw it to where dissension really wasn't going to come around and make a difference. Marvel thinking that like we need to grab the casual and that's going to be their way out of this, I think is just the casual is already done with superhero movies. The casual is done with they feel like they've run out of ideas. The casual feels like they're just milking this thing out for money. Like that person is not going to see Steve Rogers come on a screen and say, "Oh, okay, I'm interested." That person's going to be say, "Oh, look at Marvel. They're not going to give me Steve Rogers again. Give me a break. What the hell's going on there?" So this is the stupidest thing. So now you're asking us, the sweaties, the real super fans, and telling us in order for you to see footage of Doomsday, you have to pay to see a movie that you most likely have zero interest in seeing. There is just not really any crossover with Marvel fans and superhero fans and Avatar. There just isn't. So they're in terms of the super fans, like general people, yeah, of course, there are general people who watch all big movies. I'm talking about the people that are doing podcasts, the people that read comic books that are invested in that way. They're not seeing Avatar 3. I'm sorry, they're not.
Not a guarantee. Yeah.
So you're saying you're putting out there this idea, whether you want them to or not, or whether this is your intention or not, that you are gatekeeping this for profit, for money, to boost some other franchise, to boost the Disney Corporation. And if you want to talk about something else that has a super low approval rate right now, corporations also at a very all-time low in terms of how they've been moving in the last some odd years.
Especially Disney as well.
Right, and Disney is especially.
And again,
this is an asinine way of trying to create buzz for a movie that they have to hit on. They cannot lose this battle. And these kind of decisions make me extremely concerned that they may end up losing this war.
Yeah, and it's really, I didn't even hit on like how grimy it is in an era, in an economy that's not great, that you're going to make people be like, oh, if you want to watch the trailer in high def, you got to pay $15 4 different times.
Yeah, like, movies are mad expensive now. Like,
yeah, man,
you go to a movie, like, even if you say, okay, I'm only going to see just the movie, I'm not getting no food or nothing, that's $20 out of your pocket, at least.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, it's just incredibly slimy of Marvel and Disney. It's really Disney, but it's incredibly slimy of Marvel and Disney to play it that way. And then on top of it, to give us what they gave us. I mean,
if I would have went to a movie theater, if this thing never leaked, and I say, you know what, I'm gonna bite the bullet, I'm gonna go see this joint, and I'm gonna sit there, and I'll probably just leave because I have no interest in watching Avatar 3. And that's what I saw. The rage that would happen with me coming on a podcast the following week, the crash out would be televised. It would be
there were people
ridiculous.
I mean, a lot of people, I'd imagine, that, look, the tickets for Avatar came out weeks ago. Mm-hmm. There were people, and at that time, we had speculated. We didn't know for a fact. Mm-hmm. We had speculated, and it was out there that, oh, it's probably going to be attached to Avatar. We didn't know if it was going to be exclusive or not, but that was the assumption for.
And we didn't know it was going to be 4 different weeks of different.
We didn't know it was going to be 4 different trailers.
Right.
So those people think, all right, let me buy the ticket for opening night, Thursday,
whatever.
I don't want to see Avatar, but I'll go to see this Avengers trailer, and then they come out and say, actually, it's 4 trailers, and the first one is just going to be Steve Rogers on a motorcycle. Again, I would lose my mind if I was somebody that bought that ticket and I didn't want to go to the movie.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't go. Like I probably would have watched the leak and been like, all right, well, I guess I don't have to go to this Avatar movie now. If I don't want to see the movie.
I wonder how many people have refunded those tickets, because I mean, with mobile tickets, it's very easy to refund your tickets. I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's
to,
probably a real thing that's happening.
Yeah, I got to watch a different time or whatever. So it's Fandango, all these different movie things, they're very easy to just refund your ticket. So that thing leaks.
Because they want, if the seat's open, they don't want it to go unoccupied.
They want someone. They want someone to fill that seat. So because those people coming to the theater are going to be able to spend money. So that's like,
going to spend concession money.
Right. So if I say, oh, you're not getting a refund, but I can't go see this movie, then I'm going to bite the $20, that doesn't help them, because that's someone that's not buying chips, not buying popcorn, not buying a hot dog and all those things.
That's where they make the money. It's not from the ticket.
Right.
The ticket's going to the studio.
Right. So they need the bodies in the theater. So the amount of people who probably just hit refund as soon as that leak came out, I assume would be in the maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions. This is a silly proposition that they've put together.
Again, before trailer
And
scene,
it looks so cravenly capitalist in like the most like cartoonish way. Like, yeah, we're gonna do a
it's
trailer,
very,
but it's gonna be 4, and it's gonna be 4
it's
different
very
weeks.
like,
So for you
it's
to go
very
to see the
early.
same movie, you're not even asking me to go see a different movie. Like, you always say,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you got multiple movies out. You know, go see Frozen 3, and then go see Avatar. Like that would
Yeah,
also
it's very
suck.
like,
But at least I'm like, all right, at least I'm getting different. Like, I gotta go to the same movie theater to see a different trailer,
yeah,
4
it's
different
crazy. Like,
trailers.
it's very early
Insane.
20th century, very Monopoly Man, very
Doug Dimmadome.
Doug Dimmadome. Like, it's just craven, greed that we're kind of getting used to from Disney. If I'm being totally honest, we're kind of the veil of, happiest place on earth. We love, the Imagineers,
Yeah.
and we're so creative.
We love families. We're a family first organization.
Yeah, family friendly, all Walt Disney and all
Howard Stark.
Howard Stark, all that stuff is kind of starting to crack, and we're really seeing kind of going back to what you were saying before, EJ. We're really seeing the lack of creativity and the aversion to risk. You've seen that in Star Wars, like to a quite frankly an absurd degree,
Right.
over the past like decade. We're seeing it in Marvel too. In that, listen, we're losing money. What do we do? Go back to Steve Rogers, right? We got it. We need Robert Downey, and look, I'll give Marvel a little bit of credit in that, Feige tried to do something new. He tried to add all these new characters and all this stuff. It was too much. It was too much, too fast. But he tried. But now that they, are losing money, they're kind of just going back to the same old well, and just, this is what people responded to before, so we have to do that. We have to stick to that.
EJ, one thing real quick I want to ask you.
Last thing on this, Kendall. Yeah.
Do you think that the kid is significant? Do you think that Steve Rogers, I'm assuming son, it's significant?
Like he's gonna be somebody in the.
Yeah, like do you think that's because them showing that?
Yeah.
They didn't have to. I mean,
Young Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, Young Avengers. You got the next Avengers.
Next
movie.
Avengers.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
James Rogers. Now I told Shamari, like that's not, that ain't Peggy Carter's kid in Next Avengers. That's Black Widow. So I don't know if that's not what they're doing, obviously, in this, but if they're going some rip off of that character, like,
yeah, I think in some ways Marvel, and I said this a bunch. I said this a bunch on the show, that a lot of these superheroes in many ways. Well, first of all, I would say everything is wrestling, but I think a lot of things with superhero movies are also wrestling too. And sometimes with wrestling, you drop little tea leaves and you drop things, and there's long-term storybooking that happens. And sometimes you'll go back to it because it'll make sense. Sometimes you won't. I think Steve Rogers having a kid is a story point that is always going to be something they could do something with. They don't have to. It could simply it's a big enough plot device for Steve to kind of show like his evolution as a person. Like he has a happy family. He's a father now. Like, so him putting himself at risk, just like Tony Stark having a kid, and how much that made his death in in the Avengers movie, the last one, how it made that relevant. Endgame, like it made it even more because you're like, wow, he's leaving behind now a family. So anytime,
just like with the Morgan Stark character, we were like, oh, so is she gonna play? If she can be rescue or somebody?
Right. The question is, and the answer is like maybe, but they don't.
Yeah.
She never has to. Is the point? But
right.
It's always something they can go back to. And now you like Steve Rogers having a kid, Tony Stark having a kid. Those are things that
now the year.
They get, so in wrestling, they do it all the time. They'll throw little tea leaves to something, and they'll tease something, and yeah, sometimes they'll go to it because they'll make them money, and that's what they'll determine. Marvel determines that this could make them money, just like in wrestling. Then they will definitely go to that well. So they're giving themselves that option. I don't know if there's like concrete plans, but they're definitely, I think, saying, okay, if we want to do kind of a next Avengers storyline, well, we got Morgan Stark, we got now a Rogers kid.
Yeah, you got TJ, T'Challa Jr. out there as well. I am curious what year it is, because I don't know. Let's say that's I don't know if they told us back in Endgame. We'll say it's like 1970. That would be a little.
Well,
Can't imagine.
he went back to the 40s, right?
Was it the 40s, the 50s? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
That's when
he
he
went
appeared.
back.
So yeah,
He went back to So
yeah, that's when Peggy's around.
it should be post World War II.
Yeah,
I don't know
Right.
if it is, but that's what it
Yeah.
should be.
Right. But you're right. Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Because
You're right
we
about
see
that.
so
he
he'd be like a
ages.
typical Raw
So remember,
star age.
he ages obviously in Endgame because he comes from the past with the wedding ring
That's
and
true.
he's old. So we know he
Yeah.
does age. So it can't be that further along since
Yeah.
whenever he stopped by. Since whenever he stopped when he left.
Right. And if we're supposed to assume that is the same, that's around the same time that we saw in Endgame, I'd be curious again if that kid is an adult, and if that kid is somebody that we've seen, at some point, or somebody that we're going to see at some point.
Yes, good
I
note.
mean, kid or grandkid. I mean, at this point, if he's
or you go adult or grandpa, you're saying you can be like the kid's gonna be like 70.
I mean, we're bringing him into current times. I mean, he was born in 1940
he was born in 1940, 1950. He should, in theory, be a grandpa. Yeah, exactly.
He'd be in his like 70s.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get a grandpa, great grandpa, whatever type of situation for.
Yeah. And even if like him and Peggy don't have a kid for 10 years, like you're talking about still like the late 50s, early 60s. So it's either way, it's gonna be a while. That kid in theory would be older. But again, it also could be a plot device. Like Doom could kill the kid. Like like it's like, and that puts Steve back into the fold in a way maybe he didn't expect. Like we don't know exactly, or Doom kidnaps the kid. Like we don't know what's gonna happen. So there are a lot of kids, man. You got Morgan, you got Franklin Richards. Like again, there's stuff being laid down potentially that we could keep an eye on. But let's move on. We know we got a lot to get to in the show. So this was not the only leak this week. A low quality version also of Spider-Man Brand New Day also leaked as a teaser. It surfaced on the internet. Now, this is one I did not see. So I cannot give you the details of what I thought it looked like or anything like that. I do want to just mention just some of the details that have been talked about the trailer, and then the details just about the movie. So the main thing that is of importance in the trailer is our first look at Sadie Sink. There is no look in terms of like what she looks like or who she's playing, but she does appear to be an adversary to Spider-Man in this trailer. She kind of gives like a veiled threat of like, if you keep this up, Spider-Man, you're a mess. If you keep this up, it's gonna be more than just your friends who don't remember you. So, A, there's someone who knows who Peter Parker is, but and B, she seems to have an adversarial relationship in this one clip. Apparently, I don't know anything else about the clip other than that. So there's that aspect. So another leak. Also, some plot details that came out well before this leak even happened. There was rumors that the villain of the movie was going to be a shape-shifting female character, which sounds nothing like obviously Jean Grey, or nothing like Mayday Parker, or Gwen Stacy or Black Cat, or any of the characters that we were talking about with Sadie Sink. So that has led to people having theories about maybe a Shatra, who's a Spider-Man villain introduced by Dan Slott. But then there's reports that maybe that's a smokescreen, and the RPK said that the thought process that Sadie Sink's playing Shatra is actually a smokescreen because they don't want people to actually know who she is playing. So there's still a lot of questions about what's going on with Sadie Sink's character. We also got reporting prior to this leak about the role of both the Hand, who apparently is going to be in this movie, and Grey Hulk is going to be the version that you're going to see with Mark Ruffalo, and that Punisher and Spider-Man will be teaming up to take down Grey Hulk. So this is a Hulk who is gray, obviously. Similar to this Hulk, he is smart, he knows things, but he is strong, he's savage. He's not like this cuddly guy that we've seen in the cardigan sweaters that Shamari always talks about. So it seems like we are making a shift with Hulk, the Hands in this movie, questions about Sadie Sink. A lot is going on with this sham. Let's talk about that Grey Hulk and Hand aspect first. How do you feel about the inclusion of potentially Grey Hulk and the Hand in this film?
The Hand is good. That suggests at least somewhat of a street level conflict, which I'm a fan of. Grey Hulk has me concerned because, of course, we have Smart Hulks. Now I'm like, okay, he's going to be in his sweater. He's going to be in his hoodie.
Lab coat.
Yeah, his lab coat. He's going to be having conversations, having tea, and all this other stuff. Like, I kind of you know, I don't know. I just that Hulk is just. Hopefully, as you said, if he's rampaging, hopefully he actually goes on some kind of rampage, and there's a good reason for the rampage, since I guess he's Great Hulk. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what angle they're going for there. Um, it will be interesting to see a conflict like that crossover with something involving the hand. Uh, that seems like it could be pretty cool. I'll be honest, because uh, a lot of times when we see the Hulk clash with people, it's like the military. Basically, I feel like that's almost exclusively what we've seen
Yeah.
when the Hulk is clashing with anyone that's
Yeah,
not a
because the
super
idea is that
person.
if Hulk's not is fighting people who aren't superhuman, he should just be able to just literally just tear their body from limb to limb. So have him smash tanks,
Yeah,
have him smash helicopters, like those things we're okay with him
yeah,
destroying.
exactly. Or the Chitari or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, this. So the Hulk and the hand interacting in any kind of way is also intriguing to me. I think that could be fun to see. We know the hand has some kind of mysticism as well, so maybe that'll be an element that can make that more interesting. So yeah, that is a pretty interesting aspect of this as well.
Kendall, how you feel about the hand and the Great Hulk?
To me, I think the hand is interesting. One, I think you think about the fact that Daniel Destin Cretton is directing this movie, and you think about the, you think about the, I believe he has the same stunt designer as well, stunt choreographer from Shang-Chi, working on this movie. And so I think from an action standpoint, the hand makes a lot of sense in terms of bringing that same vibe that they had in Shang-Chi that everybody loved, from an action standpoint. Uh, Again, the Hulk aspect does worry me a lot. And I think Hulk's inclusion in this movie has not really been something that's met with a lot of excitement from my perspective. But I've heard some people say this, and I don't necessarily disagree that it's starting to sound a little bit like Brave New World. Like that, like Spider-Man fighting, some rampaging but somewhat intelligent Hulk. Like, I don't know, like that to me, like Spider-Man versus Hulk. I'm not gonna say that that's not something that I ever want to see, because I mean, those are two of the old school big three, Marvel at the time. But but at the same time, it's like just like Spider-Man, just like the whole Red Hulk fighting Captain America, Sam Wilson, without any sort of serum. It's kind of like I don't know if there's a fight that is really I don't know if this is aesthetically going to be as good as maybe we think it is. But I don't know. Again, maybe I'm doubting Destin Daniel Cretton. I liked the action in Shang-Chi a lot. There's certainly a lot of potential for a Spider-Man versus Hulk. And Punisher is mixed in there somewhere as well. There's certainly a lot of potential for that. But I am a little skeptical on that. And again, it feels a little bit like we want to sell some toys as well. We want to have a Gray Hulk, that we can sell some toys and this and that. So
Great Hulk fans.
yeah, put him in Marvel Rivals. He probably is already in Marvel Bid, so
Right.
get in that. Put him in Fortnite, and I don't know. Um, I think a lot of us kind of just want Hulk to go back to his roots as opposed to more experimenting. But because ultimately, he's one of the characters, great as he was, and he's been in the Avengers movies with the Russos. He's one of the characters that you feel like hasn't gotten a proper adaptation in the MCU. I mean, again, the Incredible Hulk movie. It's kind of like Brave New World, where it's not as great as a movie, but I think a lot of people love Ed Norton's Hulk. But um, but especially since then, and again, Avengers One Hulk is great, but it doesn't feel like he's gotten his proper shine. So this feels like going back to that, playing that hit again, playing those trends.
Yeah, this movie, I don't want to say it concerns me, because I'm not concerned yet. I just feel very confused. You're telling me a movie with Spider-Man, Hulk, Gray Hulk, Punisher, in the hand. I'm like, good luck for me
And
trying
whoever
to
Sadie Sink's playing.
and Sadie Sink's playing some character that we don't know yet. Good luck for me trying to explain what the hell kind of story you're gonna tell. I mean, I like these are all elements in theory I like. Do I like Spider-Man mixing it up with the Hand? Yes. Do I like Spider-Man mixing it up with the Punisher? Yes. Do I like Spider-Man mixing it up with the Hulk? Yes. Does it all make sense in one individual story? I'm having trouble figuring where this is all going, and none of these characters are said to be main villains. We thought maybe there was another main villain that hasn't been announced or cast, but maybe now we're wondering if that villain is just Sadie Sink. We are talking about Jean Grey. We're talking about all these people. Who the hell is going to be this character? Like, again, now is it going to be Shatra? That
There's
feels
no way they're going this far for it to be.
for them to go this far for it to be Shatra, it would be one of the stupidest things that I've ever
that'd be
seen.
catastrophic.
And it's not against Shatra as a villain. Like I'm not as familiar with the character, but I've had to read up in the last few weeks, and she seems like a great character. I just kind of want to read those comics now. But you're doing all this and making this thing super under wraps for that?
Yeah, that's Malekith on steroids.
That does not make
really
any
bad.
sense. I don't buy that, and I think Dave RPK, who's usually on top of the shot to him, I think I respect if he's right. I respect him for getting out there saying, "Guys, this is obviously a misdirect." Because common sense would suggest it has to be a misdirect. Because there's no way you would have to keep something like this under wraps for a story plot thing for this to be a Shatra character. That doesn't make any sense. So, I'm just curious. I really badly want to see this trailer. I want to see footage. I want to see them talk about this movie finally. Like I know we're getting to a point now where we're gonna have to get there, right? This movie comes out in what, June or July?
June, might be July.
Yeah, it might be July. I mean, we're in December now. Like we're entering the new year. Like they are that this thing's gonna have to rev up. So I'm hoping that we finally start to get some of those answers about what the hell is going on with this film eventually. But yeah, July 31st was a late summer release. I need to figure out what the hell is going on with this thing because you're throwing out all these people. None of it seems to quite add up to anything. And then the third part, real quick, is you include the Hand, but no Matt Murdock. I don't like Matt Murdock's going to be running around New York City, and the Hand.
There is word that there's going to be another Netflix surprise character out there.
Yeah, I did hear that.
We don't know who that is. I think I heard it wasn't Daredevil.
Yeah, I heard Netflix character, which again, I'm like, and if it's not Daredevil, and they've said that Daredevil's not in the movie, who the hell is that going to be? Now, we did have that moment that Kendall mentioned. He was astutely mentioned when we were at Camp Comic-Con in New York City, when they said that they showed the Spider-Man trailer, and you thought Charlie Cox slipped up.
Yeah, he kind of looked like, whoa, what?
Yeah, he thought
they showed that trailer already.
Yeah, you thought maybe they slipped up, so maybe that he is in it. I mean, it feels like he kind of has to be. Like, how could you do a Hand story in New York City and Charlie Cox is nowhere to be found? If Daredevil was just chilling, what's he doing?
And again, I think Destin Daniel Cretton could do a lot of good things with Daredevil.
Oh, 100%. He's a great director to handle the Hand, Daredevil, Punisher. A lot of these elements make sense in like individual vacuums. All together, I'm like, throw my hands up. Good luck you trying to explain what the story is.
Just to add to your point, I feel like doesn't this feel like this is like a microcosm of what the issues a lot of like hardcore Spider-Man fans have with this MCU Spider-Man universe? Like, people joke and they call him Iron Boy Jr. and stuff, and he's always crossing over with other Marvel characters, and it like this feels like the No Way Home problem, where it's like Far From Home ended with the whole Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and then the lead up into No Way Home had nothing to do with that. You're thinking he's gonna be on the run and all that, and then you see, Willem Dafoe, and you see Doc Ock and Doctor Strange. You're like, does this have anything to do with the last movie we just watched that was kind of ended on a pretty big note? And it ended up being a really good movie, No Way Home. No Way Home ended on a pretty big, crazy thing. Nothing that we've heard ties anything into with how No Way Home ended. And I understand these Marvel movies, there's a lot that happens in between these movies, particularly with a character like Spider-Man that does show up. sometimes, but we haven't really seen him since No Way Home. So there really shouldn't be that big of a jump in terms of character. So I don't really like when you think about how great the Sam Raimi trilogy is, and I know, obviously the third movie's not great, but what is great about those movies is how interconnected they are and how much of a character development piece they are. But it's not just a character development piece for Peter Parker, but it's the entire universe. And like we mentioned all these characters, and there has been stuff on some of these other characters, but we haven't mentioned anything about Ned Leeds. We haven't mentioned anything about Zendaya, Flash Thompson, like, and again, maybe that's not the point of this movie, but like, because of the way the last movie ended. But it sounds like they're going to be in the movie. But like this, like we just created a Spider-Man universe where the only thing that matters is Spider-Man. Everything else is kind of conditional, is optional.
Yeah, I think you laid it out well. To me, it's like there's like this, and I'll be clear, I'm a big fan of the MCU Spider-Man universe, but there's not a real embrace, it feels like, of the Spider-Man universe. There's an embrace of the MCU, but and there's an embrace of like past characters in different universes, but there's not an actual embrace of like those folks that, in theory, when you watch a Spider-Man cartoon or read a Spider-Man comic book, that make his life whole. There's not an embrace of any of those folks. With the exception of Ned Leeds and Zendaya for 1 or 2 movies, and now you're moving on from them, it feels like, in many ways. So all those folks that make up who Peter Parker is, it's those interactions in school. It's those interactions at the Daily Bugle. Like, those things are actually important to who Spider-Man are. Those characters have their own world in themselves. This iteration, they don't seem to care about that. It's about, let's get Doctor Strange in there, let's get Iron Man, let's get Hulk, let's get Punisher. And I don't want to necessarily say it's a bad thing. I'm not going to say that, because I do feel like we wanted more of a larger universe inclusion with Spider-Man involved with these other characters. It just has become extremely noticeable. And if that aspect is something that you really enjoy about Spider-Man, which a lot of his fans do, then yeah, you're going to be appealed about it.
Yeah, and a lot of I feel like Marvel, that's basically kind of been their strategy. They're trying to differentiate themselves from the other Spider-Mans that we've gotten before, which I think it worked very well in the first
Raimi movie.
Homecoming.
Right.
I think it worked 100% to their benefit. But since then, I agree. It has been very noticeable that this does not feel like the other Spider-Man movies that we've gotten, and not necessarily in the best way, right? I mean, we've gotten, people we haven't seen before, in terms of the villains, like in Far From Home.
Right. Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Even the Mysterio was kind of a weird kind of situation.
Mysterio.
Iron Man.
Nick Fury's involved, and
Maria
Hill, but then there's Skrulls.
Yeah, it's like connected. Yeah. But they're trying, but it still feels very MCU. Obviously, very interconnected with the MCU. All these other characters showing up and all this other.
It does sound like we're gonna get Tombstone, and we know we're getting Tombstone.
Yes.
It sounds like we're getting Scorpion back as well.
Yes,
very excited about Scorpion.
So we know those characters are coming. But again, when we hear all this other stuff about Hulk and the Hand and stuff, it's like we don't know. Like you keep saying, AJ, like we don't know what this movie is going to look like. We don't know how much of that stuff we're even going to get. If it'll matter, Tombstone might be an intro villain. He might be a villain for the first 20 minutes of the movie,
right?
And then
I think there's a good chance,
and then Sadie Sink shows up, or then who knows what happens. So yeah,
I'm not convinced on the Sadie Sink thing. I put it out there. I'm going to continue to put it out there. I think she's still Jean Grey. I don't know what's going on. I think there is a very sophisticated operation at Marvel Studios to make sure that we don't know that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. And I think they're doing a great job. I said it last time. I'll continue to say it.
I was going to say the opposite.
Yeah, I think they're trying. I think there's only but so much you can do.
I think they're pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, they're pulling out all the stops. I give them credit for that. Again, I mean, I haven't seen the trailer, but I'm sure we'll see it and we'll be like, I mean, it doesn't look like Jean Grey, but again, I think that is Because again, otherwise, what's the significance of her character? And I could be wrong, but to me, the way Feige has talked about the X-Men and the icing on the cake to me was her being in Secret Wars.
Right.
There's just no reason for whoever this character is to be in Secret Wars if she's not Jean Grey.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody else. Maybe Spider-Gwen, but even that, I'm like, I don't think she needs to be in Secret Wars. So yeah, I'm very skeptical that Marvel's just shooting it straight here.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Let's get to some of these other topics real quickly here. So let's begin. Supergirl. So we got a trailer out. So Supergirl trailer was released last week, so we get to see our first look at Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El. The trailer, to me, if you read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which by the way, if you watch the trailer, it ends with, basically almost like it's an ad, almost like a PSA, meaning go read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. That was an interesting move because I feel like in some ways, like this trailer was, I'll be honest, I think it was underwhelming for some folks. For me, having someone who has read, I'm at this point, I think I've completed 6 of the 8 issues of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. This is pulled out straight from the book. This is, if you read that comic book, this is the comic book just now on screen in many ways. The visuals, this version of Kara Zor-El and how they're presenting her in many ways, they've almost kind of even boosted it up a little bit in terms of the edge that they've given her. This is the book, and it's a great book, and I enjoyed the book. But it will be curious to see, can you take a comic book, and almost go just not completely rip for rip, but almost rip for rip, and do it in a movie, and can it work? Can something that was this critically acclaimed as a book work as a movie? I think we're gonna try, because I think they kind of put that up there to be like, hey, you guys may feel like, what the hell, this looks like a weird Supergirl character or Supergirl trailer, then go read this book and it'll make more sense. I think there's some weakness in that. Like, there's some weakness in being like, it's almost like when you drop a joke and then you say get it because of whatever, or like a rapper and they do a line and they say get it, blah blah. Like, when you do that, you kind of almost lose the plot a little bit. The movie or the trailer in theory should just stand on its own. With that being said, I think I enjoyed the trailer more than maybe most folks because it does remind me so much of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And I'm excited to see how they bring that movie to life. It's definitely an interesting way to include or introduce Supergirl, but it is one of the better Supergirl stories, one of the more foundational Supergirl stories. I thought Millie Alcock looked pretty good in the role overall. I'm really excited about the Krypton stuff. That actually, to me, was maybe the most interesting stuff in this movie, was her kind of going through what happened in Krypton. And I just actually read the issue where she talks about Krypton, so in the book. So like I'm realizing, oh wow, they're going to play up a lot of this in the movie too. And they kind of play up, because with Clark, or Carl Kal-El, we know he doesn't really know much because he was a baby. Kara was not. Kara was a teenager, or a younger, or maybe an adolescent. So she actually saw some of the F stuff that was going on with the Kryptonians and them not being able to figure out that their doom was coming. And she uses that line that, Krypton didn't die in a day. God wasn't that merciful. Like, okay, we're going to learn more about Krypton, which I think is important given how different the Kryptonians were depicted in Superman. I want to learn more about what this world was like and where these people come from. So I think there's going to be some fun elements with that. Lobo appears. I think Momoa looks great. It's a short, quick look, but I mean, we're talking about pulling from the comic books. I mean, this is the Lobo you wanted, not the guy we saw in the show Krypton, who
I had to look that up.
Who looked like he should be playing slot receiver for like for the Patriots. This is not that. Like, this guy, the Jason Momoa, who's massive, looks the part. And it's funny because I actually saw it. He's in some of these commercials recently. And I was like, man, Jason Momoa got big. But I think that's the point. I think
he was on stage for that at the
Street
Game
Fighter,
Award.
right? Yeah.
For the Street Fighter thing. And I was like, this guy is massive.
Yeah, he was standing next to Roman Reigns.
He's in at the Roman Reigns.
Yeah, the wrestler, WWE wrestler, he looked way bigger than him. I know.
I didn't realize. I was like, damn. He's always been big, but when you see him next to Roman Reigns, it really highlights how big Jason Momoa is.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna be in for a fun ride. Now the screen testings have come out. Daniel RPK said that it streamed very well. There was someone else who said that it was kind of just okay. It wasn't super bad, but it wasn't like the greatest movie anybody ever seen. But generally, they're saying the test screenings so far have been good. Again, Daniel RBK really said that it was received extremely well recently. So, I go to Sham here. What do you think of the trailer for Supergirl?
So I'll preface, of course, my thoughts. I did not read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I don't know. I do plan to, because obviously having that reference seems to be very important.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a lot of what people are saying. Yeah, I mean, you gotta come on. You gotta be honest. Okay? I'm not gonna BS. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it was. I thought it looked really cool. Like, it looked like Guardians, right? Which isn't necessarily the worst thing because Guardians is a good movie. And so I'm not. That's not to say that this is gonna be a bad movie. I'm still looking forward to seeing it. But it looks like Guardians, and I think that is to people that want to see the Supergirl, because I think there's going to be a lot of people, and I actually know people that have seen the trailer that were very underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this doesn't look like Supergirl. What's going on? Why does it look like this? Why does it sound like this?
Right.
And I have to read, and for me, I'm just like, I'm gonna read the book. I've heard it's EJ. You said it's good. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be very good. Doesn't necessarily mean that is the version of Supergirl that we should have gotten here.
And it doesn't mean it should be a movie,
or that it should be a movie, or that it should be the first movie.
Right.
There's a lot of various different things, like this being the type of Supergirl that we get as the introduction to Supergirl on the big screen, where we haven't gotten Supergirl on the big screen,
centuries,
forever.
Yeah, 40 years. Yeah.
So, a lot of people, are going to be looking forward to this. And she's like this, and it's like, well, for me, the best shots, as you said, EJ, were Krypton. All that stuff seems to be very interesting. I want to see more of that. And then the last shot of her is Supergirl. With her just in the suit, sun shining in the background. I'm like, I want to see that. Kind of. I mean, to be honest, I was like, oh, we get a lot of that.
A lot of people complaining about the dog. Oh, we're getting crypto peeing in the thing, and
some people were complaining about that. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that stuff.
I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, crypto is important in the Woman of Tomorrow story.
Yeah,
the whole story starts. The whole story takes place because of crypto in a way. So
right,
okay, right. So I don't mind crypto being in it. I just think this, if the vibe of the trailer, which is how her kind of being this like gruff, like kind of whatever, not wanting to, I don't know if I say not wanting to embrace her destiny, but not kind of just having that kind of tenor is just going to be throughout, I say 70% of the movie. I don't know if that's going to land for a lot of people. I'm just going to be very honest. I am one of those people that would want to go in and see Supergirl, kind of, and for me, this is one of the things I've liked about the Supergirl character is she's kind of she is kind of like I don't know if I'd say even more hopeful or joyful or youthful, bright presence than Clark. But she's kind of just that, like, that's kind of what I would expect. That's what I've seen. She's kind of got an edge about her to a bit.
Yeah, because she's immature.
Yeah, immature, but like it still has that kind of hope and that kind of optimism. And I think it's ironic that a lot of this, I know I'm the Snyder guy, obviously, but I think it's ironic that a lot of the Snyder criticism was, oh, Superman's so dark, he's so moody, he's so gritty, he's so upset all the time. And it's like, well, we're getting a Supergirl now that's, did she crack a smile in the trailer? I don't know. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think we should. I think we should get more of what we got from the Superman. I haven't seen the trailer. I haven't read the book.
Right.
She could be fantastic, amazing, saving people all over the place. The fight scenes look cool. Lobo looks awesome. But I would want to see more of that as an introduction.
It does feel like there's a bit of a disconnect in the trailer from Millie Alcock's performance and like the vibe of the trailer. The vibe of the trailer is very like pomp and circumstance, is very Guardians, but like you can tell Millie Alcock's playing kind of a tortured kind of character a little bit. So I think that's an interesting. It's a disconnect, maybe intentional, it probably is intentional, and it might play out well in the movie. Look, I am not the biggest Guardians fan. I don't have a problem with the Guardians, but I'm not. I've been somebody. I don't need another Guardians movie. I'm all Guardians out. So part of the reason why I wasn't super excited about James Gunn getting the reins in general. Like, so I'm not the biggest Guardians fan. So like this movie in general, like when I see it, I'm like, okay, so it's another Supergirl movie, right? It's another Guardians movie. Like, I'm not gonna be going into it super excited in general, just because the type of movie they made it out to be, and that's fine. When they chose the space setting, and again, if this is all playing out in the book, then they're just going with the book, and I can't knock them for not being for not adapting something, to the extreme. But at the same time, when you choose a movie and a story that the setting is going to take place in space, and you got all these. James Gunn didn't even direct this movie, but or write it, but we have all these aliens and stuff. That's what it's going to look like.
It looks like James Gunn.
It's going to look like James Gunn.
It looks like James Gunn was on set. It looks like he was setting up the costumes and picking the music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so,
to me, you guys say Guardians, which I agree. It also gives me, and this sounds bad, but I don't mean it for you bad. I'm just talking about the vibe of the movie. The movie could have been good. It just wasn't good. It gives me also like Thor: Love and Thunder vibes. That's the vibe I got. I got Thor: Love and Thunder, and I got
there was a Taika Waititi vibe to it.
Yes. Yeah, Taika Waititi.
100%. That was something I told our brother Henry. I was like, it's almost borderline. Looks like a Taika movie.
Yeah,
and and again, that sounds. Ragnarok was
good. Yeah.
Love and Thunder wasn't.
Love and Thunder was
either way,
right? But yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got. So yeah, I get the Guardians thing. I saw more Taika Waititi Thor movies, which is just a very hit and miss. I think that there's a part of me though that says we talk about Marvel, and sometimes they did. To be fair, they did try to make a point. They did try to make bold action, make bold storytelling in some instances in this last phase. But we've criticized them for feeling like they're going back to the well too much. It's very clear with James Gunn that DC is definitely going for it. They're not going to be safe at all. Like doing this Supergirl is not safe. But I think they're banking that the story is so good that they could overcome anything something not being safe.
I think Shamar hit the nail on the head that how the reception, a lot of it is going to be, it'll be interesting on the choice of the story and whether or not the audience is going to come in with an expectation of what Supergirl is, and whether or not they're going to jive with a very different version of that. Given that, like you said, like Shamar said, we haven't had a whole lot of portrayals of Supergirl in general, let alone especially in live action.
I think people think Supergirl is just like Superman, but she's a woman, and that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
But I think that's what they're expecting. So no, they're trying their best to let people know as early as possible. They said this when they announced this movie. This is going to be
like
a very different version of the Supergirl you're probably going to expect to see. Will that character be embraced?
And granted,
you have to just find
out. The Supergirl
out.
that we got, we did get the Supergirl in the Flash movie. That was also very different, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And
she was extremely dark.
There wasn't really much reception that I even paid attention to, right? The movie kind of came and went. I don't know if people like the character or not, but it happened and they did it. So again, it's not like we've never seen a Supergirl that's slightly different. But I just, again, like if this was Batman, Batman, people kind of had comments about Batman being a little different and whatnot or whatever. But Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, like characters that we've seen a million times, it's a little, you can get away maybe with doing a different take on them. Whereas a character that, we haven't seen a million times, but I wonder if people will be positive.
And I feel like with this character, I feel like there needs to be when picking how to introduce the character. I feel like there should be a consideration of, and look, we talked about Berlanti and his influence, but I feel like there needs to be a consideration of the fact that the Supergirl that we've gotten for the past, again, whatever, 5, 10 years has been the Melissa Benoist, um, you know, Supergirl. And that looks to be a very different Supergirl from the Supergirl that we're getting here. And Melissa Benoist Supergirl, so we say what we will about the show, was a very, very likable Supergirl.
Yeah, traditional.
Very likable from the jump. Like, just, this is a cool character. But like corny, but like in a fun.
I mean, but I think that show
played on network TV.
Yeah,
and this just looks like the opposite.
But I think that show decided to say we're going to do a Supergirl that is basically an extension of Superman.
Basically Superman, female Superman.
But like, let's make her a female. And you can argue that that's not necessarily the way that Supergirl should be portrayed. But again, I think it played to people's expectations of what they would expect from a character named Supergirl and the vague things they know about the character. So it works great, I think. I would say it was a massive success. Or what they did with Vanessa Benoist's Supergirl.
My favorite version of Supergirl that I think of when I think of Supergirl is Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that if you go for that vibe, I think that's the line.
Millie Alcott's closer to that than she is to Vanessa Benoist.
That's
fair.
This is
a kid that's a kid show, but that Supergirl is brash, is more willing to break rules, doesn't necessarily listen. And that Supergirl was also introduced in the Superman animated series. So, and I think that is the more accurate portrayal of Supergirl if you're going to do something from the books. But I don't think people expect Supergirl to be drunk. I don't think people expect Supergirl to, be like, kind of just a complete mess. That's the stuff that I think is like, okay, we've now taken what is true about Supergirl, boosted it up to a 10, and let's see how the fans expect to react. It will be interesting to follow. I do want to get one last thing. I know we're running out of time. We got some big news on the Batman 2 with Scarlett Johansson in talks to join this movie. It became a massive kind of mystery of who she could possibly be playing in the Batman 2. And the reporting now is that she will be playing Gilda Dent or Gilda Gold in this film. So that character, the wife of Harvey Dent, if you read the Long Halloween story, is the wife of Harley Dent. Her story essentially centers around her going and killing a lot of the mob bosses around Gotham City in order to lighten the load for Harvey Dent and to make his job easier, because cleaning up Gotham always is so hard. And it actually results in Harvey Dent being taken and becoming Two-Face. So it seems like we're going to a Long Halloween inspiration for the Batman 2. There were rumors that they were trying to get Brad Pitt to play Harvey Dent. Apparently that fell through. If those were indeed true, that they were trying to do that. But what do you feel? I'll go to Kendall on this one. Do you like the casting of Scarlett Johansson? And what do you think about the Long Halloween inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go quick. I mean, I think that Scarlett Johansson it's interesting. I guess a lot of people. I guess she couldn't do Doomsday, but she could do this one. But no, I like the casting. A lot of people thought she was maybe playing the Phantasm when she first got.
That was my guess.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's funny because either one, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I guess I'm curious. I just have to believe in Matt Reeves, but I don't know. Like, I hope it's not too much of an adaptation. I don't know. We just talked about that with Supergirl, but I hope it's not too much of an adaptation of a book, because especially again a Batman book, like Supergirl is like, again,
less
a little different to me.
Less readers, no question.
Yeah, less readers, right? I just feel like we kind of, if it's a Batman, I feel like we know what's gonna happen.
Long Halloween, a lot of people have read.
All I gotta do is Google it,
right?
So I'm curious either way, but when it comes to, I'm hoping again that it's not a 1-for-1 adaptation. But I am curious to see if, like you said, who's playing Harvey Dent. I think they said Harvey Dent's dad's going to be a big factor in this as well. Not where I would have gone. And it's not necessarily, again, if it's not a 1-for-1 adaptation, it's not necessarily where it ends. There's a lot of villains that are in the Long Halloween, right? Like, there's a lot of other Batman villains, and we don't have many Batman villains in this universe. We have Penguin, and
we have Joker.
I guess we have a Joker. I'd be shocked if we get Barry Keoghan, but I guess we have a Joker, and they could recast, but we do have a Joker. But yeah,
I mean, we have Joker, we have Joker, Penguin, Riddler. Catwoman's not going to be in this.
Riddler.
Catwoman's not going to be in this movie, but we would have had
Yeah,
Catwoman.
Riddler back.
We have some characters. Not like we have nobody.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I'm excited to see Scarlett Johansson in this universe. I think that's pretty exciting. Obviously, she's very talented. The last thing I saw her in was Jurassic World. She was really good in that. I have not read The Long Halloween. I do plan on reading it before, and I have not seen the animated movie that came out because I didn't hear great things about it, so I'm going to read it instead. But yeah, no, this is interesting. I'm more kind of interested. I mean, this is interesting. I have to read the book before I can really kind of react to, I guess, just the casting in general. For me, the Two-Face being involved is kind of the more of the sticking point for me, because I'm just wondering who the villain is. Okay, what's the story? Who's Batman going to be facing? You know, for a long time there was talk of Mr. Freeze or Court of Owls or whatever they're planning to do. Would not have expected to see the Two-Face kind of story, because we were hearing that was something that had, quote unquote, hadn't been done before, and something new or something along those lines. And we did technically see Two-Face.
We did.
In the most famous.
Now, if she's the main villain, then that would be the twist. Is that is Gilda? The way I've seen Gilda Dent.
Yes. So that would be an interesting twist, but yeah. So I guess we'll find out, but yeah. Either way, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Matt Reeves is beyond earned my trust at this point. Yeah. I'm sure whatever we get is gonna be fire. I'm sure it's gonna be well thought out. It'll have new twists that we're not expecting, even if it's closely or loosely based on.
Yeah, I think I saw this and I thought, yeah, I see why Matt Reeves had writer's block or was having issues writing the story, because I feel like the Batman movie is very much its own thing. Like you want to find inspirations for that in a book, good luck. I feel like he just created whatever he wanted, and that was the movie that came out. And this feels like I can't come up with something, so let me go read some stuff. And Long Halloween is what came to him, and then he wanted to do something inspired by that. So I'm cool with it. I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed when it was announced as Be Gilda, because again, now it feels like okay, we're kind of playing right down the chute over what something is going to be. Well, but to be fair, like Supergirl is doing essentially the same thing. So I wonder if this is something we maybe see more from DC, where we're going to have movies that are really going to be true adaptations of books that are very popular. Marvel does not do that. Marvel famously will rip a name and do something entirely different and actually piss people off, like Secret Invasion. So like DC may be doing the opposite of that. Maybe Gunn feels like, and maybe in working with Reeves on this, maybe he felt like, hey, if we're going to do something, let's do it real justice. Let's not try to play with the names or the inspirations and make it our own thing and actually piss people off, because Marvel has done that at times. So Scarlett Johansson, I think, is a great casting for this character. I think she would be phenomenal playing Gilda. That I have zero doubts about. I just, for someone who was expecting something totally different, where you're talking about Mr. Freeze or a Penguin-led story, for this to go this way, is like, I'm like, okay, not what I expected, but it feels a little bit. Now, no Court of Owls. Like it's, I'm like, yeah, I feel like whatever was if this is where they're gonna go. Whatever was being kind of set up in the Batman, and the rumor was that the Batman was gonna take place like a week or two after. The Batman 2 is gonna take a couple weeks after the Batman 2. That doesn't seem possible. Yeah, that doesn't seem possible because Harvey Dent's not around. We don't have a Harvey Dent in the Batman. So yeah, again, there's more evidence that tells me that whatever Reeves was working on wasn't working out, and then he pivoted to something else.
I mean, I wonder if a lot of these figures that we talked about that may show up or did show up in the past, because like you said, the first Batman movie played with 1 million Batman characters, kind of like an MCU Spider-Man movie. Like it had a lot of Batman characters.
Yeah, because Reeves, the idea was Reeves was supposed to be establishing his Batman universe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we had to get a Penguin spinoff.
Right.
We were supposed to get a James Gordon spinoff. Like, and so it's possible that because I can't the way that the first Batman movie was, I can't fathom a sequel that's just about the dents, right? Like to me, I feel like there's got to be other layers to it. Again, we're assuming Colin Farrell will be back as well, but there's got to be other layers to it, and so that's why I'm still going to reserve judgment until we find out who the other people are. But I think that's a big aspect of how the story.
I feel the same as well. I'm expecting more shoots.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a good place to leave it, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this edition of New Generation Hero Talk. Of course, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can get all of our episodes on the New Generation Podcast Network. You can find that at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. Not just Hero Talk, but also Hero Broadcast, Sports Talk coming back, all good stuff. Make sure you keep it out here. Catch us on YouTube, New Generation Media, to see the video versions of our podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media at New Generation Pod on Twitter, Kendall New Gen Ken on Twitter, me, EJ_Stewart on X. That'll do it for now. Thank you guys so much. For Shamari, for Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.